I watched my homeboys. I ain't gonna say my homeboy. He wasn't my homeboy. He was a dude I knew from the streets, right? From being at different parties. My neighborhood used to be for this neighborhood type shit. But I watched that dude within a week go from being someone I knew that threw hands, to being a boy. So the shit is like, shit's very, very real. You know what I mean?
Crime Talk 369, prison stories on the line, New York rhythm in the spine. If you did it or you didn't, you gon' feel it in this rhyme.
I was born in Richmond, Virginia. We were here for a short period of time. My dad was an ex-con. My dad did time for a body. So he always kept beef. You know what I mean? When you take somebody's life, when you come home from prison, and he only did 2 years on a self-defense plea. So when he came home, the beef was still real fresh. You know what I mean? Like, shit was still live in the streets. So then I was born. All types of shit popped off from that murder. So we moved. We moved to Charlotte. Grew up in North Carolina. Pops was super abusive. You know what I mean? Like a really, really bad childhood. So rather than be in the house, I always wanted to be in the streets, to the point that I would sneak out in the middle of the night and get my ass whooped behind it and turn around and do it again tomorrow, because I didn't want to be at home. Yeah, like the household gets to be so toxic that it's just like, you don't care what the repercussions are for sneaking out or not coming home, or whatever it may be, because you're going to get that either way. You get your ass beat for nothing. You get beat up in my household for nothing, like grown man beat downs, right? So whatever. So I get to like the age, I'm like 10, 11 years old, first time I get locked up. I brought a big ass knife, like this Rambo knife, to school. And I was a small kid. Not to mention, I'm being physically abused at home. So I got shit going on mentally, right? Because I was being bullied. I was being jumped by these three. I still remember them. That's how crazy my memory is. Cam, Cooter, and Rico. They would jump me every day. So I'm like, you know what? I steal this knife from a yard sale. And this is like when Rambo was out. This knife is, it's a big ass knife for a 10-year-old to have. It's a big ass knife for a grown man to have. So I go in the bathroom. I'm at the urinal. They come in, dude pushes me. I turn around, I pull the knife out. And I was one of those kids that if you made me mad enough, I'd start crying. When I started crying, it was like bad. It was really bad. Like, gouge your eyeball out. Like, there are no limits when the tears come. I don't get nobody. Luckily, everybody runs out and they start screaming for the teachers. One of the staff members grabs me, slams me. Boom! Off to detention center I go. After that incident there, I really think, like, looking back on it, to get locked up at such a young age, it desensitized me. So now the things you're supposed to be like afraid of, the consequences that come with doing things, you start to lose that fear. So at a young age, I started to lose the fear of like being locked up. So the shit that other kids wouldn't do, I would do it. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm not gonna throw that rock. Boom, I'll throw it through the window. I'm that badass little kid now because I don't really fear the consequences. Plus, my life is so bad at home. And this is sad to say, but it's like reality. My life is so bad at home that there were times I would rather be in the detention center. The cops were like, "We're gonna let me go." And I'm like, "Nah, y'all gotta take me to the detention center." Right. Cause when I go home, like now that there's been an incident with the police, my dad's super paranoid. You know, when we left North Carolina when I was 12 and we moved to Richmond. And he was always super paranoid because he was running from shit. He did shit. He was wanted. Like he died wanted. When I was 17, he died. He was still wanted. So anytime like the cops would be brought near the house, he would flip all the way out. Like you might get beat half to death on that day. You know what I mean? So if I got in trouble with the cops, I would prefer them to lock me up than take me home. I've told the police, take me, like, lock me up. And if you're not gonna lock me up, I'll do some dumb shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'll tell the cops that. I'll kick the shit out this car. I'll smash your windshield in. Like, I'm going to the detention center off this incident because what they want to do is take you home. You know what I mean? Like, they want to talk to you. That's not an option. So I stay getting in trouble. I'm broke, and everybody around me, I'm talking about as a teenager, everybody around me they're hustling. You know what I mean? Like that's just I grew up, my dad hustled, my uncles hustled, the people in the neighborhood hustled. So naturally, not to say I was a product of my environment, but I just gravitated towards what I'd always saw. You know, started off selling weed. Just like anybody. I think everybody, for the most part, started bagging up nicks and dimes. You know what I mean? That's like the drug dealer starter kit. You know what I mean? It's like back then we had we had the big boy scale. You know what I mean? Like what's that shit called? I'm talking the big long ass one you would see in school, right? I get into that. Then I get into the pills. Then the coke comes. Then I realized that in selling coke, a lot of people didn't want coke. My friends, the guys I knew my age wanted coke, but the older people wanted crack. You know what I mean? So I'm like, so then I get into now I'm dibbling and dabbling and selling that. Well, I'm 19 the first time. Like I've been in and out of jail since 18, since before 18. You know what I mean? I'm in and out the system. But at 19, I catch a robbery case in Philadelphia. I was already wanted here in Virginia. I had a shit ton of charges. Jump out squad. They're going to everybody's house looking for me. So I had to get out of state. So we're out Philly, and I straight up, I'm there like 5 days. You know what I mean? Never been out there before in my life. So I don't, you know what I mean? All I know is like the area I'm in, Southwest, and the dudes I know from being out there. 5 days after being out there, I get locked up on this robbery and a whole gang of fucking charges. They trumped up all these charges on me. So I end up going to a place called CFCF. For all my Philly cats in the house, salute. Treacherous. You know what I mean? People talk about jails. You think of like LA and you think of Chicago. Philly's jails are, just watch videos on Philly in general. You seeing them videos and put them in jail, and that's what you're going to deal with. I sat in there, I pleaded out. I ended up, the dude, I had my people finding, tracking down, and paying not to come to court. You know what I mean? They're supposed to null process it. They're not null processing it. They're searching for this dude. And when they find him, they're going to make him. This is what they're saying. They're going to make him go to court. I've been to court several times now. You know what I mean? Months have passed. I've been locked up. Yeah, take this 11 and a half to 23 and you can go home. Meaning I can do a minimum of 11 and a half or 23 if I max it out, right? So I know how to move. I'm not an idiot. At 19 years old, I know how to bid. I'm not a crash test dummy. Like I know how to move. So I end up, I finish off the 11 and a half months. I get out. No sooner I come back to Virginia, I got warrants. They scoop me up. 3 days later, I'm back in jail. From there, it was just, that was life. You know what I mean? It was in, out, hustle, in, out, hustle. And then at 24 years old, I caught a robbery that sent me away for 10 years. Like I took a plea, 40 years. It was 20 years on the robbery, 20 years on the malicious wounded, 20 suspended on the malicious wounding, 10 suspended on the robbery with 10 to serve, because I already had a prior robbery conviction out of Philadelphia, which is also a Commonwealth state. So, yeah, man, at 24 years old, it's off to prison for the next 10 years.
That last bit right there, is that what got your mind right, where you're like, I don't want to do this no more?
Fuck yeah. 10 years is a long time.
Were you nervous at all when you were going in there for that 10 years?
I was desensitized. I lost like and I know this sounds crazy. People be like, that's bullshit, but it's real. You lose the fear. I've been through so many different jails. I've been locked up, not to mention I've been back to jail in Philly a bunch of times after that 19-year-old incident. You know what I mean? Like Philly became like my second home. Like my brother, my best friend is from Philly. That's where we be at. And I'm eventually gonna do some dumb shit. I'm gonna get locked up. It just, like, I've been through so many different phases of incarceration that it was just like going to jail. You know what I mean? It took me a long time before it set in on me that I had to do 10 years. And it was like, all right, I got 10 years, but you get 6, 7, 8 years down the road, and you're like, yo, these bitches gave me 10 years. I'm still here.
You start seeing everybody else go home.
I'm that, and like my people that are visiting me, I'm watching them grow up in the visitation room. I don't see you for a while. The next, like, especially the kids, I don't see the kids for. And the next time I see them, I'm like, damn, boy, you got a mustache. Like, and it was stupid. Here's the the craziest thing about it all. And I, with my channel, I try to preach this, man. I tell these stories, hoping, that people don't end up ever having to live that life. Like, you might laugh, you might joke, but when you're in the midst of that shit is not funny. There's nothing funny about it. When you've got to fight somebody, we tell the war stories and we talk this, we talk that. That shit is not fun. There's nothing fun about it. There's times you're gonna have butterflies. Your whole body's gonna feel like it's filled with butterflies before you go in that cell. Fight guys that like you're doubting yourself before you go in there. Like, man, I don't know if I can beat this dude. You're right. You go in there and you give it 110% because that's what everybody else expects. The last thing they expect is you to turn around and walk off. Like if you do that, they're like, oh, this dude's a fucking clown. You know what I mean? Now you got to deal with everybody else around you. Just don't ever loan nothing out now because ain't nobody going to pay you back.
Well, respect is big in there. How big is respect?
It's everything. Like respect is required from the toughest, you know what I mean, of toughest dudes you'll ever meet down to the dude that was smoking crack for the last 15 years. Everybody wants their respect. You know what I mean? You're going to respect me. The most disrespectful men in the world are screaming and standing on, I want my respect. You know what I mean? So if you ain't got respect, like it's gonna be bad, it's gonna be a real bad time for you. You're not gonna have nothing. Dudes are gonna take this shit. Like, so you gotta do what you gotta do.
You know what's crazy? When the last time I went to jail, I was in there and I remember my cellie telling me, he was like, "Man, that guy's a crackhead, but he's walking around and he's got more respect than I do." And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, damn, that dude comes in and out of jail and he knows some of these people, his name is clean and you borrowing stuff. Yeah, that crackhead, he might be a crackhead, but he's got more respect than you. Respect is everything. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And I mean, that's why I said you can be a dude that smoked crack for the last 15 years. You know what I mean? If you're willing to stand on business every single time, none of that other shit matters. That's all
Yeah.
dudes care about. It's like, is your name good? If you borrow something, are you gonna give it back? You know what I mean? Or are you living by the convict code? You're not in here gossiping. You ain't over there fucking with the boys. You know, there's so many different things that you're gonna get your respect just by not doing. And then there's some things that if you don't do, you're not gonna get respect. You know what I mean? Like it's that world.
What's some of the craziest things you've seen when you did that 10 years?
I don't even know where to begin. I wouldn't know where to begin. Like from violence to just stupid shit. I seen a dude named Football, and we called this bitch Football because he was so fat that his knees buckled out, and his knees like looked like footballs, like the sides of them. Like it was just weird, right? Right. And he's three plus, right? And he's only probably 5'6", 5'7". I watched this dude jump from the second tier for 2 packs of icy white cookies.
That's
Cookies.
a high.
That's $1.58. Like and I guess he didn't realize how much like weight was following him as he was gonna jump. Dude, this dude jumped and broke both his legs. I'm talking about compound fractured both his legs, splat right in the middle of the floor for cookies. You know what I mean? Like they're desperate to get. And as he's leaving out of there, he's yelling to the dude. I'm talking about in all types of bro, make sure, hey, grab them cookies from him, grab them cookies from him. Like
He's still worried
frustrated,
about the
like
cookies?
still worried about the cookie. I
God.
seen, shit of that caliber all the way up to people lose their lives. I seen a guy try to escape and get tangled up in the razor wire. I'm talking about tangled in the razor wire, leaking. He's upside down, and that shit is wrapped around his leg, and that shit is like holding him. Bro, the guards are out there with their cell phones. They're out there with their cell phones taking videos of him. Like he's screaming, "Give me and they're like videotaping. You know what I mean? Like, and then when it comes to violence, there was so many. The place I was at for the longest time, I was there a little over 8 years. If you look it up, it's Greensville Correctional. It's where they carry out the death penalty. If you
Yeah.
if you die, that's where they take you to. That's your last home. 65% of the population has life. 70% of the population is gang. And it's over 3,000 inmates. Most compounds, it's somewhere between 500 to about 900 inmates. That's an average compound. This compound has 3,000 inmates, with 70% of that inmate population being gang related, 65% having life sentences. There were so many acts of violence, like shit that's not normal to see, shit that's hard to shake, shit that's hard to talk about at times, like shit that visits you in your dreams and you wake up sweating because in your dream, you're the guy that you saw getting attacked. I seen a dude hit a guard up. This is how fucking severe this shit got. And the guard, crazy enough, after this whole incident, this guard, he goes and becomes a probation officer. So I feel bad for the person that got this guard, right? As a PO. But this guard would run his mouth. And when I mean run his mouth, he's a bigger dude, black dude. He would run his mouth and like get in dudes' faces, like do something. You know what I mean? Like he was one of those guards, he would legitly take his utility belt off, go in the cell with you and rumble you. Like he was too street. That bitch was in the wrong uniform, right? Like he should have been in the same blues we was in. He gets to arguing with this dude, and this dude is like 6 months. You always hear about how the dudes have short time. This little dude legitly has like 5, 6 months before he goes home. But the dude's fucked up in the head. He's always talking to himself. Short, fat, black dude, short. I'm talking like 5'5", 5'6", but probably 240 pounds. Really bad teeth. Like, mama didn't love him enough to take him to the dentist because them shits was fucked. Like, just crisscrossed. like he been eating concrete cookie looking ass teeth. Like, he gets to arguing with this guard. He gets to arguing with Brantley right in the middle of the pod. This is first thing in the morning. We just come back from chow. We got a lockdown, and then they do movement, you know what I mean, school, classes, all that. And then we come out for rec. We come back, he gets to arguing with his guard. Boom, 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 boom. And the guard's telling him, I'll beat you, take your pussy ass in the cell. And he tries to fight the guard right then and there. We stop it. We had just come off of a lockdown for a stabbing. You know what I mean? No, stop, chill. We supposed to go to the store today. We ain't been to commissary in like 3 weeks. Like, fuck nah, you ain't doing this. Like, nah. We go back in the cell, we come out, they do movement, and he goes cell to cell, and he's asking for toothbrushes, right? You got a toothbrush? I said, I just got the one I use and the one I clean my sneakers with. All right, my celly gives him one. So I see him, he's got like a big ass handful of toothbrushes. Don't think none of it, he's crazy, right? Crazy dude, a handful of toothbrushes, I've seen crazier. It's all right. He's then got a piece of the fence, you know, the ice pick. This piece is probably every bit of about 6, 7 inches long. He done went in the cell now and he's melted these fucking toothbrushes and sat in there and took the time to make a fucking handle. That morning rec goes by and then we got, you know, the rec after lunch. On this day in general, I'm getting ready to go to the weight pit. I remember all this shit. I've got a towel over my shoulder and I've got a cup of water, right? And I'm getting ready to go out to the weight pit. And I've got a gray sweatshirt on, like just the ones they sell. Cold as a bitch outside. The guard is in front of me. We're going out the back door. The guard's in front of me. My homeboy's behind him. I'm there. And then dude is behind me, right? And then it's a whole bunch of other dudes ready to go out to the weight pile. The CO pops the door and swings the door open. And as soon as he does, the dude pushes by me and hits him in the center of his back. Boom, right? Like hits the CO right in the center of his back, right? And he's got this dark blue DOC jacket on. He hits him, boom, it sticks. And the dude, like he doesn't realize at the time that he's being attacked. I guess he thought the dude punched him, right? So he's trying to pull away and the dude's still trying to pull the pick out of his back. So he finally gets it. When he does, it pulls a whole bunch of stuffing from inside the jacket out. The stuff's got blood all over it. And he just goes to hitting him with the ice pick, right? Over and over and over. I've got this fucking cup of coffee and this towel on my shoulder. It's like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I get to the side because I know that towel or she will fucking blow his head, slam off his shoulders for attacking that guard with a knife. Like that's not going to a warning shot. That's a headshot. Yo, I step to the side, dude. The CO, as they're fighting, the CO hits dude on the bridge of his nose with the walkie-talkie. And the battery slides off the walkie-talkie. You know, you'll see the walkie-talkies on the charger station. They got them big-ass batteries. Dude's nose, and the battery comes off the walkie-talkie. So now he's trying to hit the panic button. And there's no fucking battery on the walkie-talkie. The lady they had just hired a new lady in the tower. That lady was scared to death. Guards are running in all areas. Now, the knife pick is done bent. He hit the dude in the side of the head with it, and it bent it. It like turned it into an L. Like they're good to the shorter the truth with the ice picks, the shorter the better. Because the longer it is, the bigger chance you got of it bending. You don't want that bitch to be but 3-4 inches. That's all you need. Now they're on the ground and they're going. I mean, they're like, this guard is fighting for his life. And like I said, he's a big boy and he could rumble. There've been situations with him, you know, like knucking up with inmates, and if he beats you, he's gonna write you a charge. You know what I mean? But if he loses, he'll let it go and keep it moving. That's how he carried it, right? They're rumbling. They're on the ground. They're screaming. They've come over the horn. The sirens going off, you know, the whole nine. Well, I can hear these guards coming. And that shit legitimately sound like something out of Jumanji. Like it sounded like a herd. And all you heard were keys and boots. And they unlocked the gate and they come through. And we're all on the ground at this point. It ain't but a handful of us out there. Other dudes, when they seen that shit as we were coming out, they stayed in the building. They slid back, like, and they were all piled up at the door watching. And the door's still propped open. Man, they run up on this dude and commence to I'm talking, I remember after they drug him off, laying there on the ground and looking at his teeth. I'm still thinking about, like, honestly in my mind thinking his mouth might look better now that those teeth are out of his mouth, but they stomped his teeth out and drug him off, right? That officer, they get him up. We laid there for a while, like, don't move, stay on the ground. Like, they don't know who all's involved. They're, you know what I mean, foot on our necks, because it ain't but like 4 or 5 of us out there. And he's telling them, no, it's just him, it's just him. We go back in. We go back on lock. No sooner than we come off lock, these blood dudes stab another set of blood dudes coming out the back of another building. It was a nonstop. It's too many people. It's too many people. And the guards they were hiring were hood as a motherfucker. Bitches being there talking to you about their baby daddies, and dudes be talking about the, you know what I mean? Just they used to hire super like ratchet, just hood guards. So then that floods the prison. They
We
ain't
had a lot of
making shit.
Somalian guards.
We had that. Well, that's now. Now them bitches are deep. I didn't know what they were. I thought they were. I didn't know if they were. I didn't know what they were because they don't tell you their nationality. They're not gonna share no intimate details. But yeah, I said the same thing. Like there's a small village somewhere near to every prison full of Somalis that go to work every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just one of those things where violence, like I could sit here all night and tell stories of shit like that. It was just violence was pretty much it's a universal language.
Like getting back to society, like switching that switch back on, switching it off. It's hard to do.
Yeah, to this day, like I ain't ashamed to say it, I'm medicated. Like I'm diagnosed. Like I've been to enough counselors and shrinks and all that. Like I have bipolar PTSD. You know what I mean? And the bipolarness come from that environment. I wasn't always bipolar, but I became bipolar in that bitch because the mood in there, you don't really get to choose the mood. The mood can switch at the drop of a dime. Be having a great day and something happened where you get locked in that cell, you know you're not coming out for the next 2 weeks, and it's like, man, fuck, I had moves to make. I ain't got enough commissary to last me. Like high tension environments next to like somebody that's in combat. And I'm not comparing us to any type of combat vets. That's not what I'm doing. So don't nobody put words in my mouth. But that's what I would compare it to is combat because you never with combat them dudes never know when shit's gonna jump off. They just be walking all of a sudden, it's pow pow, and then you react. That's prison. You never know when shit's gonna jump off. As time goes on, you get a better sense for it. If something's about to happen and then you can feel it in the air. But you can't feel when two dudes just have a disagreement and just clash all of a sudden. But if it's something big, and anybody watching that's done time can tell you this, anytime it's something big about to take place on that yard, it's like everything about the yard is different. Hear things to the way you observe things. It's like even the fucking air is different out there. It just seems to get drier.
I'll give you one example. Everybody be spread out normally on the yard. When you see people grouped up in groups,
Oh
then
yeah.
you know something's about to happen.
Yeah, find your people. When you see
Yeah.
people grouped up like that, go whoever it is you rock with, go get with your people right the fuck now, or carry your scary ass back in the building because that's a key indicator. When you look off in different directions and you got these dudes there, dudes ain't walking the track. You know what I mean? Basketball ain't bouncing. Ain't nobody slapping their handball. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like even the dudes lifting weights are sitting on the benches. They're not even laying back. You know what I mean? The bitches are sitting there looking around like it'll follow you. I tell dudes,
Yeah.
I don't want no beef. I don't want no beef with nobody in the world because I know, and I'm not bragging, and I don't proclaim to be a tough guy, but I know what I've done. I know what I'm capable of, and that shit is scary. It really is scary. You know what I mean? That over time, that's kind of who you become, and I don't ever want to do that. I don't want to lose my freedom, and I don't want to hurt anybody. But people don't realize, like when dealing with guys that have been locked up, the shit you've seen and done and been through, it follows you. It's there. It's like a scar. You know what I mean? You can cover it up, but it's still there. It's always going to be there. So I'm
Yeah.
non-confrontational. I tell dudes like, you got it. Now, if you push it, you push the issue, then I'm gonna go from 0 to 15 years in prison real quick. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't want that. I love life, like and the way life is,
Yeah.
being live with you right now, kicking it, seeing people commenting and interacting. This is beautiful. That shit there is lame, super lame. I want no parts of it.
Yeah, it really is. Going in there having nothing and being in that stressful situation. When you finally come out, you're more paranoid, but you don't want to go back to that. So you try to stop any confrontation or anything like that.
That's what I went back in 24. In 23, I got arrested, right? High speed chase. Supposedly, a lady said I had a gun. I take it to trial. Well, we didn't have to go to trial. We went to preliminary. My lawyer came in with footage from the movie theater. Was like, there was never no gun. You know what I mean? So, but just based on the fact that I knew they were looking for me, and they were going to arrest me. When they went to go pull me, I took off. You know what I mean? Why did I then? Everybody asks, why did you take off? Because I didn't want to go to jail. You know what I mean? Like when they've got warrants for your arrest, it's not an option of pull over, talk to them, and you're not going to jail. When they put those warrants out, you'll talk to the judge. You'll see the judge Monday morning. That's what they're gonna tell you. So I took off. I go back. I beat the gun charge. I plead out to the eluding, the high speed chase. I go back for a year. It's nonviolent, so you only have to do 65%. If I wasn't humble before, like that ain't a slice. That's a whole entire humble pie. Because now I'm a full-time dad. I've got an 8-year-old son, a 7-year-old daughter, a wife that I've been married to, going on 13 years. Like I've established myself, big, beautiful house, a YouTube career. At the time, I had a whole entire construction company. I'm established. So going back like this go round, to be honest, it hurt than it hurt me worse than the entire 10 years did. When I went in with the 10 years, I had a son, but I wasn't a dad. You get what I'm saying? Like I was a street guy. I'd swing by and see his mom, drop off some money, drop him off a pair of Jordans or something, but I wasn't a dad. Like I wasn't keeping him and teaching him. I was, you know what I mean? I was more into the streets than anything. So when I went to prison for them 10 years, it was like almost like I didn't really have shit going on out there anyway. You know what I mean? Like I didn't lose a great job and my relationship ended the moment I knew I was getting 10 years. I clipped that. I'm not going to be the guy that's believing that the girl he's been with for them whole 10 years while he was in prison didn't let somebody, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be stressed over that. I'm not going to be the dude that's on the phone crying or got other dudes ready to fight with me because of how I act on the phone. We can eliminate all that. I let her go. This time go around, I have a wife. I have kids. And if my eyes weren't open then, which they were, but like I said, the PTSD kicked in instantly. The thought of going back in cuffs, it's not the inmates I'm afraid of. It's those four walls. It's those rules. It's the lack of. That's what scares me when it comes to incarceration. It's not the men. It's that cell door. You know what I mean? It's the sound of those keys when they walk down the hallway. It's the don't step over that line. It's the exit for child. It's the lockdown. That's the scary part for me. How do you go back to normal from that? You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to just come out and just go home and make scrambled eggs and cheese and waffles and put straws on top like nothing happened. Like that shit takes. If it ever goes away, it takes a while for you to just get past the paranoia that comes with it. You know what I mean? Seeing shit like that. Once you see somebody get done like that, that shit will instill paranoia in you for life. I don't like people behind me. I don't ride with other people in my car. Sitting in the front seat, you ain't sitting behind me. Fuck, for 30 years, I might have done something when we was 12 to piss you off. Like, you're not sitting behind me. Like, the one thing that always stuck out to me, especially with the gang stuff, and I never did the gang stuff. I never got involved. I had so many homeboys that were gang, like of all different organizations. I cannot tell you how many times they tried to get me to join. In 10 years, I'm talking like it was crazy. And they just knew after a while, like Jay does Jay. They're the ones that this is where the paranoia really comes from. Number one, seeing people or seeing something pop off that nobody expected and seeing somebody on the other end of a knife screaming and running and thinking, this shit is fucked up. But with the gangs, a lot of times it would be their own people doing it to them. You know, that's what makes you not trust people. When you see somebody that calls that guy his brother, like they're together every day. And now this guy's sticking a knife in him, or he's with a group of guys and they're stomping him and beating him down. Like that shit will make you not trust nobody. That's the shit for me that didn't work for me when it came to that was one of my biggest things of why I didn't get in the gang shit. I'm like, why would I join a gang? And my chances of getting into some shit go from something might happen to 100%. I'm gonna get into some shit.
The next person's problems become your problems.
Yeah, you're not staying out the way. You're not gang and staying out the way. Because like you said, I can be the chillest dude, most respectful dude in this bitch. But if we're in a gang and you got something going on, I'm obligated by the law to be right in the mix of it, regardless of who it is. To be somebody that I know from the streets that ain't gang related. And if they say go, I gotta attack him. That don't work for me. I'm gonna handle Jay. I'm gonna handle any issues that come my way. It's good to see y'all got 100 guys to handle y'all. You know what I mean? Like But I'm Jay. I ain't never had nobody handle my fights in my life. I never had nobody to run home to, nobody to call when it was on. Like, so I kept the same mentality. Like, I'll handle it.
Yeah, I salute you for that because me personally going to prison, I seen a lot of civilians. A civilian is somebody that's not in a gang. That's what we call them. I seen a lot of people get targeted. They become prey in there. When you're telling your stories and stuff, I can picture it in my head. I'm like, man, he must have, you knew what was going on. You done been
But
around
they
the block so
allowed
many
it.
times.
They allowed it. They allowed it. No matter how scared you are, man, just throw that fucking punch. Throw it. And whatever happens is gonna happen. But I can promise you, you'll be respected way more by taking an ass whooping. At least dudes will say he'll go. You know what I mean? If you won't go and they know you won't go, they're coming. Them dudes are wolves. That's what prison's like. Like, you're surrounded by wolves and you're surrounded by just grimy ass dudes. Like, they're going to come for you. And when I say come for you, they're coming for commissary. You're not buying them from property. When the TV gets there, they're gonna take it because you've already shown them you ain't gonna do shit. Dude in the world, but I done had my ass whooped. I done had my shit fucked up and had to walk around looking like that. But you know what I didn't look like? I didn't look like a bitch. I could wear that. I could wear that. I'm gonna be the first to tell you. I fought this young black dude named Don Dada one time, and I didn't know the bitch could kick. I didn't know we were kicking. You know what I mean? Like, I never been in a fight where we kicked each other. I thought we was gonna
Are you talking
rumble.
about some Bruce Lee kicking?
I don't know what kick he gave me because I didn't see it. I was told about it. That shit put me all the fucked way out, knocked me out cold. Like, I went in the cell on some, what's up then? And I remember coming in and I was gonna shoot his cuffs. I got low, and the next thing I know, I opened my eyes and my homeboy was above me. And I was trying to figure out why me and him were face to face. Then I realized behind him was the ceiling. Then I realized I'm on the floor. Like, but it's one of those things. Like, and
It
me
happens
and
to
dude
everybody.
became, bro, and that shit taught me something very, very, very valuable. Don't ever underestimate nobody. Because this dude was probably 30, 40 pounds lighter than me. You know what I mean? He was probably 155, 160 pounds. And I just knew I had an easy win. I said, I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick him up, I'm going to slam him. And that's going to take all the fight out of him. And then I'm going to dust him off. When that bitch kicked me upside the head, knocked me slam out.
They don't fight fair. There's no chivalry in there. They'll sneak attack you to make sure they win this fight. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
People not joining the gang and stuff in there, man, because you don't know how many times I done seen people fold. They be scared most of the time, and they're thinking, they might have lost their family on the outside, the girls cheating on them or whatever. They don't left them, and they feel like they ain't got nobody, so
Mhm.
they'll gravitate towards a brotherhood. They look at it as a family. They don't look at it as a gang. They look at it as a family. Somebody's gonna have my back to make sure I get out of here.
I was known too though. You got to think I've been getting locked up on and off my whole life. A lot of these dudes I've been in this jail with, this jail with. So dudes knew of me. I'm not gonna say like I walked in and it was like, oh shit, it's Jay. It was nothing like that. You know what I mean? But I would run across dudes here and there that I knew from doing time in other places. And my city, Richmond, like for it not to be a gang, it's one of the most serious group of dudes you don't want to fuck with. Like, it's that city, you don't want to fuck. Most of them dudes got bodies. The majority of them are in there for life sentences with homicide cases. So just on the fact of me knowing people and always being a stand-up dude, there was no larceny with me. You know what I mean? I never tried to, if I was gonna take something from somebody, that was because we had a beef or you did some fuck shit and I took it. You know what I mean? I did. I never was into robbing or stealing, nothing like that. And that shit goes a long way as far as your name goes. You don't want to be labeled a thief.
You know,
I had my city behind me, so there was times like there was real deal times where I got into it with large groups of people, organizations, and my fucking city was ready to ride with me. Like, hold on, what you say they about to do? What, DJ? And dudes are coming. So at the same time, there was really no need for me to do none of that. You know what I mean? I didn't have 100 dudes behind me, but the dudes I had behind me, I'd take 10 of them over 100 of them any day. They're gonna do it all the way to you. Y'all got all these guys, and the majority of them are for real, hoping that don't shit jump off.
when I started watching your videos, I remember the first video I watched of yours. You were explaining you had went into a jail. I don't know if it's a jail or prison, but you were the new person, and you seen that these group of guys, they were going around when everybody go with the chow. they would go in there and they would open people's lockers and they
They're
would steal
popping
stuff out of
lockers.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was the first video that I heard from you, and I could just picture this. Somebody that's actually lived it. I pictured it all in my head, and I'm like, man.
Them locker doors be bent in half. We call them bitch Lambo doors. You've been in a dorm, you've come back and seen that whole locker just peeled all the way up. You know what I mean? Or the hinges on lockers.
Yeah.
You might get a locker and the hinges all messed up on it because the dude that was in that bed before you got his shit peeled back.
What were holidays like in there? Can you explain that?
And they were hard at first, but over the years, it's just like another day. Christmas is one of those ones. Christmas is one of those ones that is just kind of gloomy. You know what I mean? It's not a real cheerful day. The phone lines are crazy long because everybody's trying to call home. So you're trying to get the phone line situated first thing in the morning. It's just New Year's. I'll tell you this. I used to hate New Year's. You'd be watching on TV. You watch the ball drop at Times Square, confetti popping, bottles popping, females, the lights. Like you're watching the entire world turn up. I'm in my cell watching the world turn up, and I'm looking around at these gray walls and all this little shit I've accumulated over the years that is now my lively possessions. Like this is all I own as a grown man because I'm in prison. So I hated New Year's. And then I had that old head tell me one time, he said, what'd he say? He said, what's wrong, youngin'? I said, man, I just don't be feeling this shit. Dude celebrating and, you know what I mean, running around this bitch drunk. Like, I drank too. But on New Year's, it gets turned the fuck up in there. Bitch, we locked up. What are you celebrating? He's like, what are you celebrating? This year's over and you ain't never got to do it again. That's something to celebrate. And him telling me that kind of like, that shit stuck with me. You know what I mean? This is a year I ain't never got to do again. But I'd say I'm a big horror fan. So I hated missing Halloween. Bothered me more than like I hated missing Halloween, but I enjoyed when Halloween would roll around because they would show scary movies for like 30 days straight. TNT, USA would have like the horror-thon, you know what I mean? Yeah, they were hard in the beginning, man. They were real hard. What would make it hard is the family. I remember calling home one time to my mom's house and everybody was cheerful and I could hear the kids in the background opening presents. And then they put me on the phone and they start passing me around the room and everybody's mood kind of changes. A couple family members start crying and I'm like, man, this ain't what this is supposed to be like. So then when the holidays would roll around, I got to a point where I wouldn't call home. I would wait a couple days afterwards to call home. Not to mention 90% of the people that were in that room that answered, that talked to me on that phone on Christmas, you ain't talked to me no other day of the year. You ain't never picked up the phone. You ain't never wrote me once. So I'd rather just call after the holidays. But
Makes you feel like a burden most of the time, because when you call home,
absolutely,
you're asking for something most of the time because you can't support yourself. You become another bill.
yeah, absolutely.
Wha-
I think people need to understand why the way they are, like why you are the way you are. I think if you can recognize that, because I went through a bunch of different classes that helped me, like legitly helped me. Like I did this one class they had called Thinking for a Change. The lady told me, she said, I want you to change the way you think, right? And shout out to her if she's watching, Miss Patricia Collins. She was a counselor at one of the last prisons I was at, and I kept snapping out. You know what I mean? Like most of these dudes that were at this prison, this is a level 2. I wasn't supposed to be here. Like somehow or another, they overrode me after 8 some years on a max, and they send me to a level 2 to dorm life. I did not adjust well at all. Like I'm used to being in that cell, having my space. The respect level is difference between night and day when it comes to being on a major and then going from that to a medium or minimum. But it's just like you live by different rules. The rules on a max yard are not the same prison rules that they are on a minimum. A lot of these dudes in here have 2 years or less. So like I've got more time. I spent more time on the toilet than you've got invested in being locked up. More time in the hole than what you will spend on your entire bid. So I wasn't adjusting well. And she came to the hole one time and like I said, once again, shout out to her. And she sat by the door. This is a big black woman. Patricia Collins, probably 6', 6'1", probably 270, big ass dreads. And she like took a liking to me. Not like in a sexual sense, but like as a human being. And she came and she talked to me and she said, look, I want you to, she come out of these talks each day, like 20 minutes. She's like, I want you to really work on changing the way you think. And that to me, that was like the craziest shit you could say. I am who I am. I can't change the way I think. So she started telling me, she was like, oh, you can, and you will. You just have to learn how to. So she got me to this point where she's like, the next time something pisses you off and you go to lash out at somebody, rather than do that, stop for a second and think about what you're about to do. Think about the consequences. Think about you're going to go back to the hole. Your release date's going to change again. You're going to have to tell your son that you're always talking about, that you're not getting out when you're supposed to once again, because I maxed my release date out. You know what I mean? Like, I did my shit all the way to the door. I didn't have no good time. I was just fucking up. So I get into it with a dude out back of the building. I get out the hole. I take my towel and I throw it on the weight bench. Everybody knows if there's a towel there, that means somebody claimed that. You don't touch nobody's towel. You don't move their towel. Well, like I told you, these rules on the max yard are different than the rules over here. A lot of these dudes are green. They're fresh from the jail. They've not seen what can happen for touching somebody's shit. Something as simple as a towel. They don't know what can happen behind this. So I come out. I went back in to get my come out, and dude had moved my towel. And I say, what's up, bro? Like, yo, hold up. I got the bench, man. My shit was on it. Like, you moved my shit? And he was like, yeah, I ain't think nobody was using it. I was like, well, my shit was on here. And I instantly want to go into fight mode. I don't want to talk. I don't want to do nothing. I'm going to punch you in your face. Like, you must think I'm a bitch, because that's what I was taught at the last compound.
Yeah.
They don't respect you. Not knowing this dude don't know no better. You know what I mean? He's fresh from the jail, goes home in 6 months. Like, everything she said to me, I played it back. Like, recognize what you're about to do. Instantly ask yourself, is what the consequences for whatever's about to happen, are they warranted? Is it really that serious? So I stood there for a minute, and instantly, first thing I'm thinking is like, lash out, violence. And I could hear this lady saying, like, change the way you think. And I thought about it for a second, and I said, yo, it's really not to him. I didn't say it to myself. I'm like, it's really not that serious, man. It's really not that serious. So I tell homeboy, I said, look, man, I don't know if you know or not, but if it's a towel up there, somebody put that there, that means they got the bench. Oh, my bad, man. I ain't even mean nothing by it. Like, I ain't even know it was like that. I said, well, look, just do your set. Let me get the bench after you. If anybody asks, I got the bench after you. So then I started trying to use that moving forward in life, like, because I'm quick to lose my temper. Try to grab that split second before that happens to think. If you got a short fuse, use that little bit of fuse you got to think before you explode, man. Help me throughout life.
When most people, they're about to do something, crash out, they don't think about it. They just go and
That's
hit first.
Or you sat and thought about it a whole lot. And hyped yourself up to the point you're like, man, I gotta do this shit. I gotta do this shit. You know what I mean? No, you need to really think, do I really gotta do this shit? No. Looking back on it now as a free man, as a productive citizen in society, all that shit was for nothing. That shit was stupid.
Do you use that, what she taught you? You use it till this day?
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's why I tell people, like, I know what I'm capable of. I know what's gonna happen if you get me to go there. So my conscious way of thinking now is, we're not going there. Run up on me, then that's what we have to do. But outside of that, your little words and all that, I don't believe you. You need more people type shit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe none of that. Anybody can say whatever they want these days. It's the internet. This is like the army. Be all you want to be. You know what I mean? You can be undefeated. Never fought a guy that was less than 300 pounds if that's who you want to be on the internet. I'm going to be Jay, man. I'm cool with that. But yeah, man, change the way you think, thinking for a change. These are several programs they implemented here that you had to take before leaving. You know what I mean? If not, they were going to make you go take them on the streets. So you might as well, you ain't got shit else to do in there. Go take the class.
Prison or jail. What was your least favorite meal in there?
Meat rock.
Meat rock. That's mine too. I say it all the time on my channel. Meat rock. They call it monkey brain too. Monkey brain.
Yeah. Well, I've heard it called meat rock, wolf foot, like that. I don't know what that is, but that's not food. I don't know. I don't know what
I think it's made out of plants or something.
It's made out of a whole bunch of shit. It's a whole bunch of just leftover shit thrown together, grinded up, and baked on a sheet.
I ask these questions because I want to ask questions nobody's ever really asked for. What was your favorite meal excluding chicken on the bone?
Probably the hot dog tray. I mean, because the spaghetti was always really bland. Goulash is disgusting. I didn't like the chili mac. I don't know if y'all had chili mac. There's only some of that shit's not even like, you really got to be hungry. Like there's some things
It's
I
not
won't
real
eat.
meat.
Like I don't eat cabbage no more. I don't know if they cabbage y'all to death. They cabbaged and potatoed us to death. And you're gonna eat a lot of beans, but you're gonna eat potatoes 3 times a day. You're gonna have your potato on your tray in some shape or form 3 times a day. So I'm not a big fan of potatoes no more either.
Since I've been out, I barely eat noodles or any of that. I don't want none of that.
No, I throw them shits away. Like I had to stop doing it because I realized the kids like it. Why you throw the noodles away, Dad? I'm like, I'll go get y'all some noodles.
When you were locked up, did you think you were going to be doing what you're doing now? Did you have any idea?
I knew I was going to end up doing something that revolved around people. I didn't know what it was going to be. I didn't know anything about a YouTube. I didn't know what YouTube was. You know, like I came home in 2014 and I jumped straight into doing construction. And after less than a year of working for somebody else, I started my own company. But I was always told the place they sent me to for the for re-entry is what it's called. For it was like the last 13 months of my bid or something like that. You had to get up and speak at times. It was therapeutic community. You know what I mean? Like you had to like get up in front of the guys and talk. Dudes used to love when I would talk, like when I would get up and tell stories or whatever. Y'all give me a topic and we'll talk about it, right? And I would get up there and dudes would be like, yo, I was fucking with that. And that's not something you really see. Dudes, when they got to do them little groups and shit, they fuck off.
Yeah.
They're not usually paying attention to the dude that's talking. Like I would have the room's attention, the counselors, the guards, like everybody would like lock in on me.
People are
And I
starting to
realized,
volunteer you to go up there and do it now.
right, like dudes like, come on, Jay, please get up there, man. So I realized that like I had some sort of a gift when it comes to talking to people. And I really thought that I was going to end up like as an inner city youth counselor or something along those lines. But the construction company took off. With my construction company, all the dreams of like being this counselor person or doing this and that got put on the back burner because now I have employees. Now I have, deadlines with jobs and life takes its course. But then in 2020, COVID hit. I had so much, like you said, you would talk to people, nobody understood.
Yeah.
I had so much bottled up in me, so many memories that it felt like it was just like over flooding my brain at times. Like I would think my brain would go from one thing to the next. So I dropped my first video, January 20th of 2020. And it didn't really do anything. I wasn't looking for it to do anything. I just wanted to connect with people like me. Or hopefully my story would reach somebody and they wouldn't become somebody in one of my stories. Or they would never have to go through the things I went through. It was about a year, to be exact, right at a year. I didn't even have 1,000 subs. I think I had like 800, 900 and some subs when my channel took off. And, it was never about money. It was never about fame. For me, it was very, very therapeutic. To hear somebody say, I was going to crash out, bro. I was really going to do something stupid last night. And on the way there, I threw my earbuds in and I caught your video and it made me turn my car around and go home. The first time I got a comment like that, that was the reward. That was the payday. That was the payout for me. You know what I mean? Just to know that I could reach people and I could teach people and I could help people and that everything I went through meant something. You know what I mean? It meant that I could turn a negative into a positive. There's not many times in life you can do that. And then it like legitly really took the fuck off. Like the channel blew up. And so from there I was like, all right, let's do this. You know what I mean? Like I'm gonna give it to you. I'm not gonna give you some of it. I'm gonna give it all to you. Throughout the years, I'm just gonna give y'all everything I've ever been through. I started doing this at 11 years old. Spent almost all of my life locked up. I have stories that sometimes I haven't thought about in 20 years. And I'll be sitting there watching TV with my wife or something, laying in the bed. And then when I'm like, damn, I forgot all about that dude, right? So I think of that story, and I'm like, damn, and he had this happen, and this happened, and that happened. Oh, and then he used to hang out with such and such that had this happen, and that happened, and this happened, and like then all these different incidents and stories just start flooding into my head. I'm like, all right, I got to get this shit out. I got to get this shit out. record, you know what I mean? And I put it out there. And that's it's been a blessing. It's what I continue to do to this day. You'll tell a video, prison rape is a real thing. I've seen it. I've heard it in the middle of the night. You know what I mean? I've heard horror stories from other dudes. It's a real thing. I dropped the video, Raped in a Prison Shower. That video, and I'm talking about, I have been doing all types of positive stuff, you know, trying to do that. That video blew up. That would be the video that took off. And people would be like, you, why would you talk about something like this? I'm not listening to this. Then the next time I talked about it, that same person would be in the comment section. And if I did another video on it 6 months down the road or something related to that, that same person would be in the comment section. It's like you hate it, but you can't stop watching it. But that would be the first video that really took off, was the Raped in a Prison Shower video. But prior to that, I was just telling my stories, you know, like it was a lot more of my day-to-day life. You know, I show behind the scenes on, like, I had the marquises, I had to lift the marquises with the big rims, and I was always in my work truck. So people got to see a little bit more of my life, but then it took off. And yeah, like I said, man, that's what I do now. I'm blessed. Like, there's no other way to put it. I'm blessed. Being locked up will do something to you. I had a strict rule. I wouldn't sell up with my homeboys. If me and you were real
Why's that?
cool, I would not. Because if we fall out, I didn't just fight with some random ass dude. If we fall out,
Oh
I
yeah.
lost a friend. You're gonna do things to piss me off that shouldn't piss me off just because we live together. You might snore. You might be a dude that farts all the time. You're gonna have little things that you do that are gonna become pet peeves of mine that if we didn't live in the same cell, I wouldn't know nothing about. Smack his lips, and he was my homeboy. This was my dude. I'd eaten with him countless times. But when he chewed, he was like, and I'd have my earbuds in, I'd be watching TV, and I'd be like, bro, me and this dude we were tight. And it got to a point where, like, I was legitimately ready to put hands on him because we're locked in this small ass room. I'm like, bro, you being disrespectful. Like, your people ain't never told you to chew with your mouth. Now it becomes I'm like, chew with your mouth closed. Now I'm a grown man. Now we're back to the respect thing. You know what I mean? You feel like you're being disrespected because I'm trying to tell you how you should eat, but I feel like you're being disrespected, chewing loud as hell with your mouth open. Those things
Yeah.
wouldn't bother me about somebody if we didn't live together. So I'd rather
And
not say, I'm not gonna say be in a cell with just a random ass person, but I don't want to be in a cell with somebody I'm super cool with.
Booty Bandits are more out west. I mean, they're down here too, but I think it's, you know,
Here, they're active. Fuck yeah, I've seen it. Like, we got a dude named Jingling that's in there right now, and I promise you, he has violated he has violated somebody in the year 2026. We got a dude named Treetop that I promise you is in the cell right now with somebody that he is violating. I can promise you, if he's got a cellmate, he's violated it. Like, that shit is real. Like, and it's I had a homeboy, I did this story, man. I had a homeboy that I ran into in prison that I tried to talk to. I was on the weight pit. He walked by, I called his name, come up, we started talking through the fence. He's in a different building. Couple days goes by, he starts getting fresh. I mean, you ain't been here. When he got there, I gave him some tobacco. You can still smoke. Next time I see him, he's got a pack of Newports. Like, bro, you ain't even been to the store yet. You done came up. You want a Newport? I'm like, hell yeah. I mean, he's in a cell with this dude, Treetop. And Treetop is known for taking younger white dudes up underneath his wing, making them think, hey, you know what I mean? Yeah, you cool. You from the city. You one of us. I got your back. I fuck with you. I'm that dude in here. I got everything. Whatever you need, I got you. And the moment you ain't looking, he's gonna take that 5-pound fist and hit you upside your head, and it's gonna be all bad from there. I watched one of my homeboys. I ain't gonna say my homeboy. He wasn't my homeboy. He was a dude I knew from the streets, right? From being at different parties. My neighborhood used to be for this neighborhood type shit. But I watched that dude within a week go from being someone I knew that threw hands, to being a boy. So the shit is like, shit's very, very real. You know what I mean?
do you feel like you'll ever get to that point where you start talking about real world events? I don't know if you do or not. I think you just keep it to the prison. That's all. I haven't
Yeah.
seen it yet.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going into podcasting. Like, I've got I'm looking to move around Halloween from where I'm at now down to Florida, right? And once I
Yeah.
get to Florida, I think that's when I'm gonna go ahead and
Oh,
buy a
you go to
building, buy
Florida?
a location. Yeah, I'm going to move to Florida.
You know, they say everybody in Florida's crazy. You don't hear about, the craziest thing that happened in Florida, all these crazy people every week.
Yeah, but that's like you just got to know where you're going. There's a section just like where I live at right now in Florida. You just got to know where you're going. Like I'm not going to live in Miami-Dade or you know what I mean, nowhere like that. Like I want to go somewhere that's laid back, that's chill, that I might have to drive 30, 45 minutes to the studio into the city. Like, but nah, once I get down there, that's when we're really gonna get into all the topics on everything. You know what I mean? And outside of the podcasting, like the podcast is going to be a whole separate thing from what I'm doing with the channel. My channel will always be prison related, jail related. But on top of that, I want to, definitely keep up with the interviews. And then I'm going to start switching into the true crime. Like with my channel, you'll still get the prison stories and all that. But I want to start doing true crime. I'm a true crime junkie. You know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
love the true crime shit. So I want to get into it. I think I'll be great with it. I think I'm going to do amazing with true crime. That's just my
Oh, I
confidence,
know you are.
how I feel with it. That's just, I mean, I'm confident in what I can do. So yeah, there's going to be the podcast coming. And then as far as the channel, I'll always stick to crime related shit, but I really want to get into the true crime, man.
Yeah. Well, anything you do, I wish you the best, and I know you're gonna get far. Hell, you're already at top of the list right now. Anything you do, you're gonna be up there, man. I already know.
I hope so, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I want to thank you for coming on and blessing me with your time. It's been a dream,
man. It's always a pleasure, man.
Thank you. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it.
Y'all, man. Thank y'all for having me on. Y'all know how we do this, man. Salute.
Salute.